Today I want to do something a little bit different, and I want to go over a little bit of a story time about clients I personally had who were moving to Ottawa. Now, they actually almost completely canceled their move to Ottawa, but I will say they are successfully living in Ottawa to this day. But let's rewind a little bit and start from the beginning. These clients in particular found me on YouTube, and they are from Asia. They were moving to Ottawa for a job opportunity in tech. I've done a couple videos on this, but we have a massive tech park here in Ottawa. It's actually the second largest in North America. So they were coming here for a new position in Ottawa. They are a family of 4 and had 2 kids that were 10 and 13 years old. So they were obviously really concerned about making this drastic move, and obviously they wanted to make sure their kids were incredibly happy here as well. So they were able to connect with me through email, and we set up a call from there. So it's really interesting working with people in different time zones. It can be hard to schedule calls, as I think our time difference was 12 hours. But we were able to connect on Zoom, and I was able to actually meet the whole family. So this really helps because I get to understand who the family is, what they're looking for, where they're going to be working, and what they value. This is, I think, a really important step for me and for the family or anyone that's moving here. So after we connected via Zoom, they were obviously incredibly hesitant about moving to Canada in general, but they did like a couple things about Ottawa. They liked that there was a ton of opportunity here for their kids to live and grow for the future. They also really liked the proximity to Toronto and Montreal, and of course, they really liked the home prices here. So that was really nice to be able to show them what they could get for their budget. Now, I will tell you, their budget was actually $1.1 million, so there was quite a lot of options for them to take a look at. They were looking for a single family home with ideally 3 to 4 bedrooms, and luckily for me, they were really happy with what was on the market and what their budget could get them. So one of their biggest hesitations about moving to Ottawa was actually the weather. So they were not used to the cold climate whatsoever, and it was a huge point of hesitation for them. I can only do so much. I mean, yeah, it is really cold. You really won't know if you can handle it until you actually get here. I will say most people who move here and are concerned about the weather quickly come to terms with it. I don't know. That's really what I've noticed. So now their move was actually almost entirely canceled. And the reason being is because one of their kids got into a really amazing private school where they were located. Now, this was really interesting to talk about. I don't really know a lot about the education system in Asia or where they were in particular, but what I could do is talk about what we offer in Ottawa. Again, I'm not a teacher, I don't work in the school board, but I can just kind of chat about, what there is and the schools here. They had previously done a lot of research on the Earl of March School in Kanata Lakes and wanted to talk about that school more with me. Now, I would say it is probably one of our most popular schools in Ottawa. I do notice a lot of people come from all over the world and want to go or want to have their kids go to that school. That's what I have noticed being a trend for quite a while. So we had talked about the school. I have had previous clients have their kids go to Earl of March as well. And in the end, they kind of warmed up to the idea again of moving here, even though their child was entered into a really great private school in Asia. They realized they still wanted to look at, potentially moving to Ottawa. And Earl of March did kind of make them feel a lot more comfortable about having one of their children go to that school. So now fast forward a couple months, and they were actually coming to Ottawa just for a couple weeks to look at homes. So this was going to be a very quick trip, and then they were going to go right back to Asia. So what we did is we had scheduled a ton of showings during the time they were here. Luckily, we had their neighborhood narrowed down prior to them moving. So we did a lot of research beforehand. We had a lot of talks before coming to Ottawa, and they had decided they wanted to live in the Kanata Lakes area and within the Earl of March School District as well. So that made our search a lot easier and a lot quicker. So when they came here, I recommended for them to actually stay in that area. So they got an Airbnb in Kanata Lakes. They could really spend those kind of couple days, I think it was a week and a half in total, to live in the area and understand what it's like. like. We saw, I think, about 16 different homes, and all between, I think, the price ranges of about $950,000 to $1.15 million. And it was really fun to do because obviously they were really excited about what their budget could get them here in Ottawa. And luckily they actually liked a lot of homes in Kanata Lakes. So during this trip, they decided to put an offer on a home so they could go back to Asia and really feel comfortable about their move to Ottawa and come here with a home ready to go. I want to preface a couple things. These people in particular were already Canadian residents. We do have a buyer's ban here, so a foreign buyer ban. So if you are not a permanent resident or a Canadian resident, you can't necessarily buy a home in Ottawa. They ended up choosing a 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom home, single family home with a really beautiful backyard, and it was in their desired location of Kanata Lakes and walking distance to Earl of March, so they were incredibly happy. The home was listed for $1.1 million, and they were able to get it for $1,058,000. So they were very happy about that. So what they had done is they had gone back to Asia, and their closing was 70 days from when they had actually purchased the home. So they went back, got all their ducks in a row, and then once they actually moved to Ottawa, they brought their full family and had a home to live in, which they were really grateful for. Now, one of the challenges they faced with, moving here from a totally different country and not knowing anyone and not having anything organized was actually furniture. So they had to furnish the whole home, which can be a chore. A lot of furniture is on back order. So they had done that a couple weeks prior just to make sure they had a couch, beds, desks, everything ready to go for their family. Of course, not everything was completely as they'd want it, but they took the time to make sure they had this stuff organized and ready beforehand. I think this was a huge, really positive step they did. So when they did come to Ottawa, they felt more at home. Another really important step they did is they joined a lot of groups on Facebook, community groups, to meet people prior to moving here. And they also did a lot of research on, recreation centers and activities for the kids. And they had signed their kids up for sports and activities almost immediately, which I think was really essential to get their kids more accustomed to life in Ottawa and meet friends as well. So these clients in particular have been in Ottawa for a year now. So they did move around this time of year last year. So of course right now it's December and it's getting cold. I will say the winter was a bit of a shock for them. They had to go get coats, boots, hats, mitts, all of it. And they said it was, definitely interesting to get used to. They did find it cold. However, they actually told me it wasn't as bad as what they thought it was going to be. So I think that was very interesting. And they actually started doing a lot of activities in the snow as well to make it more enjoyable for them. I will say they did love the summer months, and they were really happy to have the backyard they did have to be able to sit outside and enjoy the weather in the summertime as much as possible. Before filming this video, I actually asked them for some key kind of takeaways they learned from moving to Ottawa and what they enjoy about Ottawa. So they said the people are in fact very friendly. They did a lot of research beforehand and they agree with that, which is great to hear. They are incredibly happy with the Earl of March school, and they're really happy with the location they chose to live in to get their kids into this school. They told me that was one of the best decisions they made, and because they had done the research prior, they will most likely stay in Kanata Lakes for an incredibly long time, which was really great to hear. They also said they were really happy with all of the job opportunities available. So working in tech, they did find that, they didn't know we had this huge tech park here in Ottawa, and all of the opportunities that come with that, they were really excited about. And ultimately, it made them really happy they did move to Ottawa. So ultimately, they are really happy about making the decision to move here. I know it was incredibly hard and challenging for them. I think what they did right is really do a lot of research prior. So they did find me on YouTube and they were able to connect with me. And I think that made a huge difference in, helping them move here and feel really comfortable. Before they even came to Ottawa, we had talked about neighborhoods, we talked about schools, and they were able to find a community here, and their kids are happy here as well, which is ultimately the most important thing. So that is my little story time on, helping clients move to Ottawa and, seeing them throughout the year actually build and start their lives here. Now, if you are in fact looking to move to Ottawa yourself, don't hesitate to reach out to me and book a call, and we can actually go over some neighborhoods and home styles and options, or even just really broadly talk about Ottawa as well. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks so much for watching.